This is Dr. Susan Gitau. I'm a counseling psychologist and a lecturer at African Nazarene University and in serious advocacy for mental health at Susan Gitau Counseling Foundation. Today I just want to talk about living through trauma so that I can encourage very many people not to be afraid to deal with themselves and to face their own traumas. Growing up at the age of 8 years, I lost my dad to mental health illness, and so he had to leave home and we were left with my mom. We were 8 of us, 4 boys and 4 girls, and because my dad was a sole breadwinner, we had to leave where we were staying to go and live in a slum, and life changed there. I would say I was traumatized because whatever I found in the slum was absolutely new to me. People who are drunk, people who are insulting one another, people who are fighting, people who are basically not having a direction. It was a big shock, and as a child I never realized. When my dad was there, we had plenty. We could eat, we could dress very well, we could go places, we could have parties. Now this was normal. And as a child, nobody was explaining to me what has happened to my dad. Why is he not home? I was very bitter, a very angry child. Yet I did not raise a voice. I never complained. So I kept everything to my heart. And one of the things that helped me a lot is that my dad used to tell us whenever we have a challenge, we think about God, and how God is big and how God can save our problems. So I used to take everything to God, as my dad taught me. But in the inside, I was breaking. In the inside, I was very, very sad. I was a very sad child. I can't even remember like smiling in primary. I can't remember any fun moments, by the way. When children talk about happy memories below 10 years, I really don't have any. And some of the things that I went through, like extreme fear of people, extreme fear of places, extreme fear of trying new things, today I know it must have been the childhood trauma that I went through. I also used to cry a lot, so I had overwhelming sadness, and that is one of the signs and symptoms that we give in trauma, the persistent negative emotions and cognitions. So I was not feeling good at all. Even when I had big achievements in my academic work, both in primary school and even in high school, I was not seeing it as anything at all. Meaning I always saw things negatively, because why am I not celebrating even those small moments? So today, as I talk about living through trauma, and this is the work I do today, trauma counseling, it's my area of expertise. Trauma never stopped with my childhood. It still followed us even in teenage. We did not know what it meant to see a drunk parent. We did not know what it meant to see drunk people around us. We did not know what it means to fight one another openly. People could slash one another. In the slum, these things, people, it's like they don't reason like other people. It's like this very short fuse, the way people think. Today I know it as emotional reactivity. So people using more of the limbic system and the autopilot brain to solve issues. So there is no moment of thinking through, there is no moment of mindfulness, there is no moment of trying to reason what is the best way to do this. And I did not know that you can actually carry community trauma. You can also carry family trauma. And so I started seeing that I'm also getting very angry, but I was not the type. My personality, temperament, my birth order, being a middle-born child, you always don't know what to do. You're very indecisive. You don't know what's the right thing to say. You don't know even how to protect yourself. So I continuously kept everything in. And all these things, when I went to high school, they came out in form of depression. But nobody even diagnosed depression, you know? It's like you're having teenage depression, I'm having my own issues as a teenager. I am having my own questions that I want answers, but there's no one to ask. There is no one to even think can answer my questions. I could see other girls very happy in school. They have both their parents. They are getting people visiting them. And me, I really don't know what that kind of a world was. So in the inside, I was a very, very sad teenager. In high school, I think all I knew from Form 1 all the way to Form 4 is crying, crying, crying. Even though I never used to cry openly, I had a place where I had chosen to go and do my crying. It was behind our chemistry lab. There was a very large pool of water behind there, and most of the times I used to contemplate, why don't I just jump here and my life would come to an end. But I was such a scared child again. I think all along in my life I have never loved pain of whatsoever nature. And so I would be afraid that I might drown there and feel a lot of pain trying to gasp for air and all that. So that prevented me from taking my own life. But I used to go there and watch the sunset, and I would cry my heart out. We also had a church inside the school, so I used to go to the church and cry in there, and people used to think I'm very prayerful. But honestly, I used to go and cry my heart out. So in my high school, as much as I made it to campus, that was not my level of ability. I knew I was smarter than that, but I can't even remember having a very focused moment to reading, even when I had all these issues at home. So what does that tell me today as a trauma-focused therapist? I know then I still had trauma. And this trauma that was not ending is something I was fighting and fighting. I'm in school, I can't talk about my family because I'm seeing everybody else is better than me, they are living well and all that. So I kept it in. And it was very, very sad that most of the girls were smiling. They are having their parents come and see them, write them letters. There is nothing like that I knew in high school. But by the mercies of God, and maybe the universe conversing and probably converging the positive energies to bless me, I made it to the university. And I thank God for every bit of that opportunity. But even when I went to the university, I'm still carrying my trauma with me. So I go to university to do a course that I never dreamt of. I never even desired. But that course today, I celebrate. I use a lot of the skills I learned. I went to train as a teacher. And because I wanted to study economics to enable me understand why some people are poorer than others, I went to do education at University of Nairobi, commerce and economics. But my focus was economics. But again, I finished. And I didn't know where I was going. So I go to teach again. But throughout campus life, that is the time a young lady, a young girl like me should be dating. But unfortunately, you go and date and you don't understand how you even started. So you can imagine again a moment when you're supposed to celebrate everything about being young, being youthful, you still don't have that opportunity. So you can project what happened even later in my life. You have negative view about men, you have negative view about people, you have negative view about everything. Why? The root was childhood trauma. So today when you find me seriously fighting for the child, that we should prevent and protect them from all forms of trauma, whether it is negligence, whether it is sexual abuse, whether it's physical abuse, emotional, psychological, spiritual, name it. You traumatize a child, it takes very many years for that trauma to get out. So you can imagine for me, I like to talk about trauma, poverty trauma. I like to say it was how I grew up, the environment, the family. What about those children that we are having, being traumatized by all forms of violence that you can think of? So in the next session, I'm going to talk about how I overcame this trauma and why today I would strongly stand up and tell you, deal with your childhood traumas, deal with your teenage traumas, deal with your trauma right now as an adult, and you will be a free person. Because you are created to be free, you are created to actually enable other people to be free. Thank you. This has been Dr. Susan Gitau, a counseling psychologist and a trauma therapist. God bless you.